An Evo event is live. Xbox server transfer mayhem. And moving parts towards ARK 2. You're right kids, it's Ross Clark and welcome to your regular ARK community news. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share around, and let's get into it. So you've got an Evo event this weekend, of course, a bit of 2 times taming, harvesting and XP all the way through to August the 30th. What time? We don't know, we never know. It's going to be shut down at some point on that date. But you've got it a bit of 2 times to enjoy over this weekend, so get using it. You can do it 2 times. So sadly, there was no community crunch last night, nothing to reference, so this news is going to be a bit off the rails, I'm afraid. But there is something said, our lead community manager popped in this tweet that we're going to touch on in just a moment. Lots of moving parts. Bear with, we'll be getting to that, but let's address something that's quite raw for Xbox players at the moment, but does indeed affect everybody, and I'll tell you why. So I'm sure if you play Xbox Official, you're aware of this by now. All server transfers are disabled. Why? Because there is an incredible exploit going around at the moment whereby players are able to lock you out of joining your own server. The only way to join those servers is by someone inviting you through. So people are using that to exploit and basically offline raid your base at no expense. Now you'd be thinking it's panic time, but don't be too worried. The people that are responsible for doing these are apparently getting banned. Server transfers of course have been disabled, and Dino Decay and Structure Decay has also been disabled. So if you can't join your server to refresh those timers, don't worry, you're okay. Wildcard are taking the steps they need to in order to make sure this doesn't affect you too much. But it does need to be addressed. Players, survivors, severely affecting server performance for other players, the experience of PvP, able to control servers at will, which is something I've been directly affected by in the past, and I just want to talk about that for a moment. So of course DDoSing, you're aware of it, it's a thing, it's been going on for the longest time, for years and years and years. And if you know me and you've been following this YouTube channel for a while, you'll know I was running PS4 servers. I did run a PS4 cluster for 2 years, which sadly came to a close a couple of weeks ago, and the beginning of it all was indeed DDoSing, which is certainly frustrating. But don't get me wrong, DDoSing isn't the be all and end all. It certainly wasn't what killed the server eventually. It just didn't have many people, but the very beginning of it was people were able to DDoS all the servers, constantly crash them, and for the longest period, it was a good 2-3 weeks, nobody could access the servers. Therefore everybody left and they moved on to other unofficial clusters. By the time we got it all back up and running, people just weren't too interested anymore, and it certainly was the start of the decline. We never seemed to get as many players back following that. But again, I'm not saying that is the definite cause to why our server died. But what I want to point out is the only person through that period that could help me was another player who was able to lift the DDoSing for other people to play there, which put me in a frustrating position that my servers that I rented to host ARK were all in the control of other people, with normal people, players playing the game, not the server host company, not Wildcard, players. They were in control of what my server did, which is one of the most frustrating things to feel, that you are at the will of players. And it seems to be the case again with this Xbox issue. Now don't get me wrong, those DDoS issues that we encountered over time, they did get resolved, and the DDoS methods that we used were eventually ironed out. And sadly, in a game that's as complex as ARK, with so many different ways to challenge it, both in-game and from a server perspective, it must be a logistical nightmare to keep a lid on these new exploits. In a competitive game, sadly competing against other servers, people will always find a way and stoop below the bar, do something cheap in order to get a tactical advantage over their competitors. So what is this? What's the purpose of this video? What's the purpose of me ranting about this? I feel like I need to rant about this. It's certainly frustrating, but you can't hold Wildcard too accountable. They can't foresee these things. They can certainly act upon it as soon as they can, as quick as they can, but they can't foresee these issues. So what do we take from this? Do we sit down? Do we lie down and accept, okay, heads up, I'm just going to bend over, pull down my pads, and let's all just go for a fun ride? The reaction required is being taken, so you can't knock it. And sadly, I think there is just some acceptance that this is a thing that's going to happen. In a game like this, people are going to find ways to bend the rules, and I know firsthand what it's like running again an unofficial cluster where I had a series of parameters, rules, and people found loopholes within loopholes, ways to work around them to their own advantage. People will do that in a game like this. It's just unavoidable, sadly. It's never going to go away. People will find out things. What's important is that Wildcard react to it, and as quick as they can. And they are certainly demonstrating that. They're certainly reactive in their social media updates to tell us where we are with these. Now more than ever, I think they are a lot more transparent, and that's all they can do. Feed us information, provide updates, allow people like me to present it to you so you know as well, and keep us all informed. So there we go, rant over. And Xbox Survivors, this has gone into certification with Microsoft, so I'm hoping you'll hear something over the next week. Fingers crossed it won't take too long. So ARK 2, we talked about this last time round in the last news video, where I believe I've got assumptions that in the extra live stream in late October, early November, they're going to be all about ARK 2 and giving us lots and lots of information about their next fully fledged sequel. However, the team are very quiet, as I said earlier. Said put out a tweet saying, working on some things for a big internal meeting we have coming up. An all hands meeting to talk about ARK's future. It's crazy to see where this is going, who would have thought? Which I've already commented on before, but Nakatus, you know him, I've spoken about him quite a few times before, replied ARK 1 or 2 future. Said's reply was ARK a half and beyond. ARK 1 or 2 and beyond. Because, of course, there is at least, in my opinion, a year to go until ARK 2. Every time I talk about ARK 2 and their release date, I say, oh, it's never going to happen next year. And I've got to say it again, and I think this is what's happening right now. Though ARK 2 is the next big game, it's where the investors are going, this is the money maker, and they need to make sure they execute the best game they possibly can, which isn't only going to be a fully fledged sequel to a game we've played for so many years, but I think they're going to bring this up to try and beat and compete with all of the AAA games out there. I really, really do. Think of the actors that are involved in this alone. Vin Diesel, Russell Crowe, David Tennant, Gerard Butler, Elliot Page, the pirate from Dodgeball, Carl Urban. There are so many huge names on board for this. Yes, okay, most of them are working on the animated TV series, but you never know, some of these could be pulled into the ARK 2 game. And if so, that's going to propel ARK, well, the animated TV series alone is going to propel ARK into the media spotlight. People are going to want to know what these actors are working on, which means all eyes are going to be on ARK. And what is ARK to people who don't know about the game? This could be a huge thing for the ARK franchise, or at least I'm hoping it will be. And if that's the case, this needs to be one of the most delicate, thought out plans marketing wise to execute this release, which means next year release date isn't going to happen. I'm telling you now. As well as the Unreal Engine, which yes, I know they're developing on the previous engine and they're going to adapt to the new Unreal 5 engine, which is fully released next year. At the very least, Wildcard are infamous for their delays. It's gonna happen. Like, if you don't think it is, I'm telling you now, it's gonna happen. But I still think they're going to share a lot of information about ARK 2 with the extra live stream. But next year is all going to be about what can we do to keep breathing life into ARK 1. We know Lost Island is out at the end of this year. We know a second mod map is coming out next year. But is that it? Is that all there is? Of course, there's the TLC. There's apparently going to be TLC things out there. There's other things out there that we're still waiting on, like the PS5 enhancement. Where the hell is that? The PS5 enhancement, we spoke about this like last Christmas and we've not heard a thing. Is that coming? Are PS5 players going to get an improved version of playing ARK Survival Evolved finally, like Xbox players were? And are they going to get tetherless, non-dedicated games that they can host? Fast Flyers! What's going on for Fast Flyers for console? You've all got a tick box. You can click it, it doesn't do a thing. Your fast flights still don't work. So what's going on there? There's lots of cogs in that wheel that still need to be turned, functions that people want to see happening for ARK 1. So, what's happening? What is going to be revealed? Of course, another Dino vote that's going to be for that second mod map. The whole point of this topic is, okay, If ARK 2 is delayed another year, we get a second mod map next year, could there potentially be a third one? I've always said from the very start of when ARK 2 was released that they're going to be a bit more mod heavy with ARK 1, and they should be. They need to experiment as much as possible. We all need to be guinea pigs to see what can be done before we play this new fully fledged sequel that they want to execute as perfectly as they can. Rant over, we're done. You did this to me, Wildcard. You didn't drop a community crunch. I didn't know what else to do. But I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, comment below, let me know. And did I do this quite constructively? I'm really interested. If this was on the right line of negativity or not, I don't know. Let me know. My name's Raz Clark. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And as always, peace out.